Hello, my name is Ryakitimbo and I'm a global chef at the Arusha Hub. Professionally, I'm a technologist. I pursued a degree in electronics and telecommunications. So I first started learning about sciences when I read the story of Dr. Ben Carson. The book was called Gifted Hands. And I was very much inspired by the way he lived his life, the way he worked hard to get where he was, and how much effort it took him to get there. So that gave me a sight to start seeing that I needed role models. I needed people who could show me how to do it, how they did it, and the principles underlining how they became what they became. And from then on, I worked really hard to wanting to become a scientist. And at some point, I said I was just going to be exactly like Dr. Ben Carson. I was going to be a neurosurgeon. And that shaped my life because at that moment, it gave me a goal that I was going to work towards. And every effort, every step that I made was towards becoming just that person, a neurosurgeon. But over time, when I went to secondary school, I started realizing that there were different things that are coming to attention other than just being a doctor. And that a defining moment for me was when I had to choose whether I was going to pursue sciences, business, or arts when I was in Form 2 and moving to Form 3. So I thought about the different fields and I realized that I really loved sciences. So I told myself that I was going to pursue it. And I took it up. And at some point, I think the fear of doing sciences also got to me. And I was like, maybe I should just change and do something else because I don't know this organic chemistry and all this stuff. I was feeling a bit confused. But then I had a teacher who didn't give up on me. And every day he would tell me, I'm not going to let you pick any other field. This is the field for you and you're going to go with it. And so I did. I pursued my sciences and surprisingly, I was doing very well in my classes and even performed exceptionally well when I finished my secondary school. When I was going to university and I had to pick a career, I'd come to realize that there was something that I really loved, and that was gadgets. So I would watch how phones work and I would see how people communicated. I would watch the TV work and I would listen to the radio. And the only thing that I would think about at the back of my mind was how does this work? Or do we get these signals to transmit to a TV? Or how does it happen that someone that is in the US is communicating with someone that is all the way in Africa? There's so many miles in between. How does this thing work? And that kept moving me to wanting to find out the theories behind it. Of course, there are more books involved. For example, Michael Faraday's story, reading at how his experiments helped him come up with different principles that have shaped the way science and physics is viewed. People like Isaac Newton that thought about gravity, and it was like a light bulb that science is a way, that it has the means to show us how we can solve life challenges or give answers to some mysteries that we really don't understand what happened. So when I was in university and I was doing my degree in electronics and in the classes I realized that gender was an issue because in most of my classes I was the only female student in the classes, and sometimes I would also notice that even in doing the practicals there were aspects where some people probably felt that it wasn't really in a female kind of career but more a male career, but that pushed me to like want other women to be a part of the same process. And so when I went for my internship, I realized that in the career field itself, there were even fewer women. And this is not because they graduate in small numbers only. It was also because even some who graduated in these fields did not pursue a career in those fields after graduation. So that made me want to start changing how young girls view science, how young girls view technology. And over time, I came to learn about the whole concept of STEM. And together with a group of other ladies that were in the field of STEM, we started doing a movement, going to schools and we talk to the girls, we tell them our story, we tell them how we got there. And I try to become a role model to them by showing them how I got there. I realized that having role models for me was a changing factor when I started reading stories of Dr. Ben Carson, and when I started reading about Michael Faraday and Isaac Newton and the Wright brothers. I got role models, but I asked myself, who are the local role models for our girls today? Who are the local role models for our youth today? We need people that can show them that in the environment you live, in the surroundings you live, in the same schools that you go to, you can actually still be able to go out there and do something that could change the world. And so part of that was me sharing my journey in technology, my journey in choosing a career that I chose, and how I've been working towards different aspects like projects I've worked on. In sharing this, I started seeing change among the girls, and I would see that some would have an interest and they would say, I really want to become like you. I really want to pursue a subject like the one that you're pursuing. But then over time, I also started learning that underlining technology, we needed to think about policies that shape innovation, policies that shape science, research, policies that shape technology, innovation, and engineering projects. And these policies are policies such as those that govern usage of the internet, governs the development of artificial intelligence. They need to have appropriate technology that caters to the different aspects of the society, including gender. They need to have devices and gadgets that are gender sensitive by design and not by default. And so that's how my journey in technology and innovation policy began. Through that, I started running internet governance workshop. First of all, to address how the online world um, is much of a reflection of our offline world, and how much the things we do offline sometimes shape what we do online. And among those things was understanding things such as cyberbullying. And I saw that to some extent, there were cases of cyberbullying. Cases of cyberbullying are never really equal. So I started meeting women that would complain of being abused online or things like that. And I thought that maybe these are some of the things that we should talk about when we're talking conversations around policy or when we're teaching people how to stay safe online. And so I started the Arusha Women's School of Internet Governance. And this school basically would bring women and try to teach them how to engage in policy making where technology is concerned and where internet is concerned. And I saw that it was kind of effecting a change, and the school was also giving people motivation to pursue fellowships that could help them learn more about technology. And some of these fellowships that the Internet Society would provide to women engineers to maybe go and participate in the Tanzanian Network Operators Group and learn about different networking skills that are technical and possibly outside of classroom they wouldn't get much of it or the practical aspect of it. And this were bringing changes to women and girls, and I was realizing that the impact was broadly felt. And because of this work, I started doing little researches on different policies that govern technology. And as a result of that, I got different fellowships that helped me to develop my skills. And at the moment, I'm doing a Google Policy Fellowship. And in this fellowship, I'm delving into things such as artificial intelligence and policies that govern artificial intelligence. And through it, I'm trying to foster policies that kind of cut across the different diversities that we have in a society. Things that I see as challenges for women in STEM, first of all, is the community. How do they view these women that pursue careers in STEM? And then removing the notion that certain careers are for male and some careers are for female. And why that when we see pictures of a hospital, for example, you'd see the male is a doctor and the female is a nurse. These are narratives that the media is putting out or that people are growing up with that we need to change. We need to have women see that we have strong women figures out there that are pursuing STEM and they can also do the same thing. But other challenges that I usually see is that Not everyone will understand the work you do. Sometimes people will question, why do you work with girls and why don't you work with boys? And it's not a question about bringing divides in the society, it's a question about bridging the divides that already currently exist. And how can we make society better see that to move forward and to have innovations in science and technology that are cutting across the different diverse groups that we have in the society, we need to ensure that we have full engagement. We need to have a workforce that does not segregate in whatever kind of way. So I would say to any person that is pursuing a career in STEM or that is looking at engineering or technology or telecoms, that there's a wide variety of things that we can think about when we talk about technology. And as we are working towards the World Day of Telecommunication, I'd like us to think about the different things that underline us having communication. We need to think about innovations that will bring connectivity to communities that are not connected. We need to think about aspects that can be able to make technology cheap and affordable and appropriate for the communities that we serve. For for a year now, I've been working with a community network in Kondoa, and this community network has brought internet connectivity to villages in rural Kondoa through a technology known as TV white spaces. And these are frequencies that had previously been ignored that are no longer being used after they moved from analog to digital. But they are ones that could be leveraged to bring coverage or connectivity to communities that are in rural areas and do not have access to internet. But despite bringing this technology to community of Kondoa, there were still challenges about the technology itself. How affordable is technology? So I'd like to call that on this particular day, let's think about having innovation. Do we always have to import technology? Or we have people in the country that can join the workforce and start creating technology that is cheap and affordable for even the people in the rural communities. We should also push to ensure that um, connectivity that it reaches the different communities is beyond them making phone calls, but they embrace digital skills to the extent that at this digital age that we're living, people are able to not really suffer in terms of access to information, in terms of building their skills. There's a lot of online platforms, there's a lot of chances and opportunities for people around the world to become well versed and informed of different things and learn new skills if they embrace the use of technology, if they embrace the use of internet. So I'd like to call for people to think about this concept of community networks and think about how they can bring coverage to communities that do not have coverage. When we're talking about this, we're talking about rural areas and we're talking about places where people still do not know that there is more use to having internet than just using social media. There are other things that they could leverage from, opportunities that could change lives and that could impact society and bring lasting changes. Thank you very much.